Listen, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll fight you in your back garden. Like a dumb Klitschko, I'll beat you, you bum. You're a bum.
I want to unify. Is he up for the challenge? Like I said, I can tell you. You know, this is not a battle, this is war because I was born for this.
Why am I sitting there like a spare dick away? While you are sitting in your mum's spare rooms, just tickling your bollocks.
Come see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Let's make the fight happen. Let's see who's the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test?
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl.
Hogan was too fast. But it wasn't so much about, it was just that he was so fucking fast. Fast.
Amazingly fast.
Fucking amazingly fast. I was like, I thought Freddie was in there fucking hitting me too. So.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, our radio, etc. I am Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Obviously, we're going to be discussing all the boxing action this weekend. Lomachenko, Crolla, Shields, Hammer, Munguia, Hogan. Rob, that was we set that up, man, and you didn't play it, really?
It's because you said Corolla.
God, man, we even practiced. We practiced that. You want to try it again?
Yeah, say Crolla first. And
Crolla.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Munguia versus Hogan.
What you gonna do, brother?
Thank you. And obviously the PBC card, which we're going to have to semi-talk about, I guess. And plus all the news of the boxing world over the last few days. I am Matt the Hipster Hunter. Obviously, like I said, joined by the lovely Rob. Mr. Robbie Hearns, the Han Solo of the group, second cousin twice removed of Sir Eddie and the Hearns clan. Obviously, Rob, how are you doing today on this fine UK night? And I assume you kind of want to skip all this and talk about that Katie Taylor announcement, and I do too. Talking about 3 undisputed champions coming up in women's boxing. Salute. How you doing, Rob?
Yeah, doing good. Yeah, a bunch of news dropped today and a few bits sort of over the last few days in between shows. So, yeah, we've got lots to talk about. I'm going to have to hold my hands up. I just did not get a chance to watch any fights.
We watched some.
I watched Munguia versus Hogan.
What you gonna do, brother?
Even if you didn't, you just wanted to say you did, just so you can play that soundbite. Let's be honest.
No, I've seen that. I've seen bits and pieces of Shields and Hammer. I do want to go back and actually watch them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and obviously, I think you saw the Loma fight, I would assume.
Oh, yeah.
The Friday night card, I would assume.
Yeah.
We're going to get into all that and more. Call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Or add us on Skype, Mixed Combat Radio on Skype. But let's get into that Friday night card first because it is chronologically the first card of the weekend. And plus, let's be honest, they had the biggest name of the weekend, Lomachenko. Highest paid earner of combat sports this weekend. Even though it's on ESPN Plus, if this was ESPN, it probably would have been the most watched fight of the weekend as well. But we don't know the numbers of ESPN Plus cards. Digressing, though, Lomachenko was absolutely dominant, was absolutely brutal, and ultra aggressive. We've seen Loma at times have an angry streak and be a little bit mean in the ring. And I don't think at any point we really see him do that from the beginning bell. And never let Crolla up. That was absolutely impressive. Obviously, he did have a ligament and slight fracture damage on one of his knuckles, but they say that's not going to hold up his scheduling for a September fight date. Obviously, we know that Luke Campbell has been sort of bandied about for that WBC belt, for that vacant strap. Richard Comey is still in the wings, but we know that Teofimo Lopez could take that fight. A lot of options, but before I get into any more of my specific takes on that fight, the card itself, Rob, I want you to sort of give your overarching thoughts on the Loma fight, the card itself. I have to go get my water. I left in the other room, so I'll be back.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, obviously, I felt Crolla would be, stick it out a little bit longer than he did, but there was never any question like who was going to win the fight. I've seen a bunch of stuff saying like Crolla was fighting scared and stuff. I don't think it's so much. I don't think it was so much he was fighting scared. I just think he was slightly out of his depth and bamboozled and just didn't quite know what to do. And as we know, Crolla's quite basic anyway. He gets behind a high guard, sort of comes forward and looks to pop up out of that guard and land his stuff when he can. But yeah, Crolla obviously bitterly disappointed. Shout out to Gareth A. Davis telling Lomachenko in the post-fight press conference, Crolla hasn't gone to hospital. The nose is okay, but he's just very sad in the dressing room that he lost to you. And Loma was like, I'm so sorry. That was it. That was a real cool little soundbite. I wish I put it on my soundboard. But yeah, no, I thought Crolla was just a little bit rabbit in the headlights. He didn't quite know what to do about it. And like you say, maybe they felt Loma wouldn't be so come forward so early. But I think Loma saw what was in front of him, and I think he was not up for the fight, but felt, why am I in this fight? We know he likes to move fast, and suddenly a mandatory's come up, and it's like, I don't want to be doing this fight, but I kind of got to. I see people saying about step-aside money, but I'm pretty sure this came with the sort of proviso that there wasn't any, if you don't take this fight, you will be stripped of the, I think it was a take it or lose the bout situation.
Who cares? Like, I think people that no. Yeah. I just mean like, not as in like, let's shit on the Mantor. I mean like the people that are continuing to shit on this matchup are, to me, just completely tone deaf. Completely tone deaf. None of the people that are shitting on this being the mandatory fight and us having to watch this cared about Spence Ocampo. So don't talk to me, the haters of this matchup. I don't care. Crolla's a top 15 guy universally in the division. Stop. We don't care. He just was outmatched, like you said. And I think on top of that, you alluded to it, I don't think anyone expected Loma to be that aggressive in the beginning fight, in the beginning round. He immediately took the center of the ring, immediately backed up Crolla. And I think Crolla was in the mindset of, okay, I'm going to get into my rhythm. Loma's going to be on the back foot. I'm going to be able to sort of get into my aggressive combination work in some fashion. And Lomachenko just didn't give him any space, any time, any room to really do that. And I think that was a masterstroke sort of tactical game plan of Lomachenko, just to not give Crolla any of his game. Make Crolla be on the back foot, where he historically is not that well at. Not historically the best boxer at. We know that. And he took away all the advantages of Anthony Crolla and dominated and battered him. And that knockout was, I would say, probably unnecessary. You could have stopped the fight in the previous round in that last 10 seconds, right? But that knockout was impressive. That short little right hook, absolutely brutal shot. I just hope Crolla's fine long term. He's a guy that's been in a lot of wars. He alluded to that post-fight that, hey, it's near the end for me. I've been in a lot of tough fights. I hope he is wise and picks his next or possibly final matchup with some foresight, with some sort of thought into it, because I don't want him to get unnecessarily hurt than he has to be. I'm okay with him being on, let's say, a UK undercard in Manchester, being the co-main event, get a sort of, not a showcase fight, but sort of a showcase fight, and let him go out on a win. I think that would be fantastic for him.
I think he'll want one last fairly big domestic fight. Whether that will come round and it'll be like a Luke Campbell, that's always been muted and talked about for quite some time. And if Campbell can get hold of the WBC belt, maybe Crolla might end up being a voluntary defense or something like that. But I think he'll want a big. I don't think he'll want to sort of whimper out against someone he's definitely supposed to be, like a pushover showcase. I think he's a bit of a, he's like a warrior. I know he's as discussed, like a bit basic and stuff like that. But I don't think he wants to go out on those terms. But it's good that he recognizes that, you know, the end is soon and things like that. You see far too many fighters wanting to carry on, you know, after, you know, what we would say, yeah, it's too many fights now, just call it a day. But for him to just even recognize that after the defeat, and, you know, the end is he's going to have time with his family and really look at it. And yeah, hopefully he can get one more big one, or he can just walk out with the money. He went up against a lot of people's pound for pound #1 fighter. A lot of people saying this is a once in a generational fighter, the best they've ever seen, this, that, and the other, which is fine. And I've also seen he's overrated, he's nothing, this, that, and the other. And I saw people say, why is Crolla on the ropes? Well, I think it wasn't maybe Crolla's problem. It was more Lomachenko's great footwork, you know, just his skills, positioning Crolla where he wanted him, because he was ultra aggressive. He did march him back a bit, and but I'll just take my hat off to Crolla. You know, accepted the fight, took the fight, had so much social media grief about it. Eddie Hearn's apparently the devil for forcing him to do this and things like that. It's just ridiculous. It's like people don't understand the mindset of fighters, just what they live for, what they do it for. They want the biggest money and the biggest fights and test themselves against the best. And Crolla didn't, you know, hesitate in taking that opportunity. So this is just what happens. This isn't a new phenomenon.
No, it's not at all. You know, and for the, you know, Loma's the best of all time to the Loma's overrated, the truth is obviously somewhere in the middle, in my opinion. I think Loma is absolutely one of the top pound-for-pound boxers in the world. Is it the best in the world? Arguable. It's an argument. You know, that's what pound for pound is, right? It's subjective. It's purely subjective. There's no objectivity to it. On top of that, to say that he is overrated is quite laughable. Like that's just clearly false. Like, he's not overrated. He clearly is a very talented elite boxer. How elite is he? How great is he? That is a discussion. It's not, is he great or not? That's not the discussion to be had about Lomachenko at this point. When you make a top 15 guy look the way he did, you are great. There's a reason why when, like, Spence, for example, when he treated Lamont Peterson the way he did and absolutely dominated him and finished him within 7 rounds, it was like a sign of, wow, that's how good Spence is, because he made that guy look so amateur. That top 15, top 10 guy, former world champ, etc., made him look like an amateur. So, I think that the truth is somewhere in the middle. But digressing from that, obviously, we have the Luke Campbell or Richard Comey options for Lomachenko next. Are you waving the flag? Do you prefer the Luke Campbell fight for the WBC vacant belt, or do you like the Richard Comey fight more? What's your mindset?
For Loma next fight, you mean?
Yes.
I think depending on, like you say, how things play out, but I think it'd be a great fighter. He wants to come over to the UK and fight Luke Campbell. That would be great for UK fans to have Loma over here. And I would give Luke Campbell far and away a bigger chance than Crolla had in the fight against Loma.
Of course.
2 gold medalists up against each other. The WBC bout on the line, plus, you know, Loma's bouts. I would like that fight, but I don't know quite how to. I think Campbell is going to get the vacant shot against somebody else. Teofimo Lopez will be facing Comey for the bout, and they're going to try and set up Lopez and Loma. I think
you think they're just going to fast track to that one next, really?
Yeah, and Teofimo Lopez wants it, and he wanted to get in the ring. I don't know if you saw that. He was trying to get in the ring, and he wasn't allowed to get in the ring with Loma after the fight. Looked a little bit disgruntled. He wants to fight, saying some crazy, like, Lomachenko moved out of the fighter's hotel once he knew I was staying there. We're in his mind. We've seen that, and I think at some point Lopez is going to get his way. He's talking the talk, and Bob, but Loma has said, if you've got a bout, I'm interested. You know, that's what I'm about. You know, so does Bob set Teofimo up, or for that bout and put it on, or does he keep them as far apart from each other as possible? I don't know, but I like that route. I like Lopez going for the IBF, possibly beating Comey, and then if not, we get the Comey fight anyway. Or does Bob take that away from Teofimo and just set it up for Loma straight away and go get that IBF belt for Loma? I don't know. Yeah,
I think the best fight for Loma is Comey. I feel like that's pretty obvious, right? I feel like that's the most competitive fight. Probably the most dangerous fight as well. Comey's a pretty big lightweight, pretty powerful one as well. I think he's a little more proven than Luke Campbell is. He's fought better competition than Luke Campbell, but it is marginal. Teofimo, I still think he needs a year. I still think he needs a year and a half. I would love the Luke Campbell-Devin Haney fight for the vacant strap if that were to happen somehow, if that were to materialize. Plus, we have been hearing about the whole Devin Haney to zone move. It could be possible. It could be actually in the works and we don't know it. And Comey's already made the move to ESPN. I think he sort of just make that fight right next. Like, it just makes the most sense in the world. I think on top of that, it is a top-ranked versus PBC fighter in a sense. I always love when those two fan bases have to coexist with each other. Like, they have to commingle. I think it's better for the sport when that happens. So I'm all for that. And again, Teofimo, what's next for him? Ray Beltran moved up. He's fighting Jose Ramirez next. I would have loved for that fight. Pedraza's still out there. You could, I mean, this would be kind of crazy, but I could definitely see a Teofimo Lopez Verdejo fight. That'd be pretty funny. I like the Easter Bartholomew fight. Yes, I do. BB, and thank you for coming with a little more respect in your tone in the comments now. Weirdo. But there's a lot of great fights at lightweight right now, and I just think once we get some more clarity with these matchups, the next, I would say, 6 months of 2020 is going to be amazing. Maybe the last quarter of this year, we're getting some really good fights. And even the setup fights are good. Like Comey Loma is technically a setup fight, but that's unification. Campbell Haney, Teofimo Lopez versus Pedraza. These are all setup fights, but those are all equally fun fights.
Is there any way you see Mikey making 135 and we get in Loma Mikey?
Hold on, I got the soundbite for that one. Hold on.
Stay off the weed.
No, man, that ain't happening, man.
It's just a question.
No. I think it's so hard when you go to welterweight and like taste that money to go back down to lightweight and take how much of a pay cut. You know, and there are some particular names that Mikey could still do quite well against at welterweight. Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao, those names in particular I think he could do quite well against. And those are all in-house fights that he makes more money in than at lightweight. Let's just be honest about it, unfortunately. And some in-house fights are really good. Like a Mikey Pacquiao fight I think would be really fun. Obviously, all the welterweights in the PBC division would be fantastic. But then we have, like I said, the Jose Ramirez Ray Beltran fight, which a lot of people don't like, me included. It is what it is. But I think lightweight, even without Mikey, is going to be just fine. And if Loma wants to reign over that division, it's a fun division right now. There are some good names, especially if we can start working more with other promoters and other entities, as it looks like, then it all looks fine. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think just quickly on someone said in the chat, Loma Tank Davis. I think Loma addressed that. He's pound for pound the #1 fighter on Twitter.
And people have been asking where Food's at. Food's at work, guys. Come on.
Food's hopefully at work. If not, he's rollerblading, dodging traffic.
He doesn't have a car, guys. It sucks.
It was, stolen from the driveway and
then burned down.
No. I saw pictures of the car. And they've done him a favor. It looked like a heap of shit. Well, it does now anyway. But yeah, no, yeah, Bob let rip in that press conference when someone brought up Tank Davis. He's straight away, but his management don't want it. They said he's not ready, and he's like, went a little bit off, and then Loma came in with, I think Davis, pound for pound _1 on Twitter.
That was good.
Like, he was getting some laughs. People were putting in the comments like, straight up stand-up comedy career.
Well, it's not go that
he's
far.
finished fighting. With that broken English, it's funny, right?
Well, it's like Triple G. Like Triple G is pretty comical at times, even accidentally so. There's something endearing about that in some ways. Any thoughts on the Loma Crolla fight at all? For any other thoughts on the card itself, or you want to move on?
No, I mean, was it a near sellout? Oh.
Tony from T Street, man. It's okay, Tony. It's okay, man. When he's still out there applauding that 10,000 people, that 10,000 attendance, saying it was a near sellout at fucking Staples Center. You fucking despicable piece of shit journalist, air quotes. Get the fuck out of here, Tony. Tony from T Street. Whack ass, man. Saying that was gonna. No, man. No, the best part was when he came at you and said, like, nah, it's going to be sold out or near sellout. And I'm like, okay. Are you sure about that? He's like, well, I said near sellout. Okay, define that. 2 days later, still doesn't tell us what that is. Ask me for the prediction. This is the best part. Ask me for the prediction on the numbers. What did I say, Rob? 10K.
10 to 12.
10 to 12K. So what I was right. And then he had the audacity to say, don't delete your tweets, guys. Man, fucking whack ass.
Yeah, and it was, I think you're underestimating Loma's star power. His brand. That was it, his brand. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're slightly a half glass empty kind of guy, but it was just over the 10. So is that a nearer sellout than not?
What? Because it's above 50%, right? It's like 50.
Yeah, it was
50.1%.
101. So that was near sellout 101 from Tony. Thank you. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up because it was.
If you want that hard hitting journalism, hard hitting reporting, go to T Street, get all the breakdowns on what's going to be a near sellout, and do half of the attendance in the entire fucking venue. Trash. Speaking of the exact opposite of trash, though, Clarissa Shields, Christina Hammer, let's talk about it. I feel pretty vindicated. I'm not going to go too in-depth on this because I feel like we talked about this a lot on our Patreon show, Boxing Banter. If you want to see our segment of that show where we talk about the fight, it's free to the public. Go check it out. I know it's going to upset and ruffle some feathers. Good. I hope you're uncomfortable. I hope you listen to that show and are uncomfortable about the fact that you may not like women's sports. Good. That's a good thing. It's a way to progress as a civilization, guys. And Shields, I mean, to speak on the fight a little more from a technical standpoint, Shields looked fantastic. Her ability to slip off the center line, duck undershots, make Hammer look like a fool, and then come back with really sharp counters was impressive. It just was. Hammer, though, I will say this. Her lateral movement impressed me. I know that she wasn't able to get any of her offense going because her jab was failing. And I understand that is innately a flaw that needs to be corrected. I understand that. But her footwork was really good. You know, I had the criticism of her that I think laterally speaking, she struggles. She's more of a straight and forward jabber. Right, Rob? And I was wrong about that. She just couldn't land her jab. That was the issue. If she was able to land her jab, she had the footwork to really give Shields some issue. She just couldn't land her jab. And I thought it was a fun fight. I thought it was a pretty dominant fight. I thought, it was a fight where maybe you could give Hammer 2 rounds, but I enjoyed it. And especially towards the end where like every round Shields was hurting her. It was getting suspenseful, and I was thinking the finish was going to happen, of course, but the lack of time in women's fights that needs to be absolutely corrected. I I think would have solved that. When the fact that women fight literally half the amount of time that men do, it is quite despicable. And of course, we're not going to get as many finishes. But Shields looked fantastic. She clearly set herself on a level of being an elite boxer, regardless of gender. And I can't wait to see what's next. Obviously, she called out Cecilia Brækhus for a super fight at junior middleweight as a sort of, a in-between catchweight in a sense. I love that matchup. I'm all for it. And, yeah, that's all I really have about the fight. Rob, I know you've only seen parts of it. But any thoughts on Shields, Hammer, anything like that? The rest of the card was trash. I'm not going to talk about the rest of the card. It was utter trash.
From what I've seen, Shields looked, to me, slightly different, like improved, looked defensively more so, I felt. Hammer, like you say.
Another thing, sorry. She wasn't slapping with her shots as much, too. Like, she wasn't hitting with the palms as much with the gloves. I like that improvement.
Yeah, I mean, just recently changed to, is it John David Jackson? Or so if that's an instant kind of effect from him, then, shout out to him, to get that improvement in such a short space of time. I think that's real good. Hammer, I think going in, she was definitely like my underdog. I felt her record isn't like littered with like names as such that you would could point out and say, oh, she's properly proven. But it was still, it was for the ring belt, so it's like 1 and 2 in the division. So you can't ask for more than that. And it got built up. Sometimes it got a little ugly with the build up, but Shields backed up everything she said. She told her what she was going to do, and she did it. Shout out to her. I know she's full on with this, greatest woman of all time and all that, and she's going to attract certain comments for that. But I've seen people going, "Well, fight Katie Taylor." Then it's like, oh my god, there's weight classes. That matchup just isn't going to happen. So forget that. But no, I was impressed. I was impressed with what I saw of Shields. I've seen. I'm trying to think how many rounds sort of seen, and then bits and pieces of like a highlights package as well. Just didn't get time to sit down with the whole thing. But the Brækhus fight, that's even on the table for possibly Katie Taylor after we'll talk about it obviously soon, but she's obviously she's been announced for the undisputed fight as well for the lightweight division for the ladies. But Brækhus seems to be the choice after both of the Shields and Taylor. If Taylor progresses, obviously that she's going to be a name for those kind of for the Taylor and Shields to go after. And then I think Serrano is part of a deal that's being done for Katie Taylor. But like we always know, and we always sort of, I guess, have to bring it up at times. It's just the depth in these women's divisions isn't there, and that's the only issue.
Particularly certain women's divisions, like
I
would say like the lower weight classes are a little more filled out, I would argue. But quickly, I just want to add before you talk about that point, which is a valid point. I want to make that completely understandable here on this show, that to talk about the lack of depth in women's boxing is not misogynistic. To use that as an excuse to say that Shields or other female fighters aren't elite is misogynistic. That's the difference. Because regardless of women's boxing's depth, you cannot look at Shields, Katie Taylor, Cecilia Brækhus, the Serrano sisters, and say they aren't skilled, they aren't elite. If you do, and then you blame women's boxing for it, it's pretty apparent why you think that. That would be my point. And again, I talked far more in depth about that in the last show. Go check that out. But that is pretty clear. Yes, women's boxing needs to be improved. Yes, it needs to be added. There needs to be depth added to it. But in order to do that, we need to uplift women's boxing. We need to create opportunities for women's boxing. We need to pay them better, and we will see the dividends from that. Women's MMA did that, and we see the dividends from it. So it's pretty obvious what needs to happen here if we want women's boxing to succeed. It's not to be Steve Kim and to say that there's no good women in the sport. That doesn't help.
Did you want to just touch on the numbers?
Yes, I do. I did have it right next to it. Shields Hammer peaked at 369,000 viewers, an average of 339,000 viewers. Oh, that was the wrong thing to show you guys. Let me pull it up really quickly. I got into a little bit of argument with Keith Heideck on Twitter, which I don't think needed to be an argument, but whatever, about these numbers. And obviously it did around 40,000 less than the Shields Gabriels fight, which was on a Friday night. Also had the Christina Hammer Tori Nelson fight on that card. And I pointed out, like, look, there needs to be some context and nuance as to why it did marginally less numbers than the Gabriels fight. And I don't think this is a failure. I put it this way. I think it's not a massive success. That's pretty obvious. But I think there's context to that. Look at what it was competing with on Saturday night. Not only other combat sports properties, but other sports properties. It's competing with playoff basketball. It's competing with a UFC pay-per-view. Competing with 2 other boxing cards. On top of that, look at the lack of depth on this card. Yes, it did receive, I think, a moderate push from Showtime. We can all, I think, agree to that. But, however, the card that was structured around it was a poor card. The only names worth of note on this card was the main event. You can make an easy argument that, like, the Munguia card had more depth to it purely because there was more recognizable names on it. Same with the PBC card. So, yes, this wasn't a massive success. Yes, this didn't do the numbers we want it to do. However, I think there's obvious nuance to why it did that. That isn't, oh, women's boxing's a failure. Oh, the narrative's a lie and not reality. Which is what the people like Steve Kim are saying. And I think, again, that does not do any benefit to boxing as a whole. If anything, all you're trying to do is try to be an edgelord on Twitter and appeal to the worst and worst of human civilization. So I do think, yes, these numbers are a little bit disappointing, but it's not. It could be far worse. I mean, I know boxing cards recently that have done worse than this. The Gervonta Davis fight did worse than this, for example. So, yeah, we all wanted to do more, but it's clearly not a complete failure like certain media members are framing it to be. Rob, your thoughts on the viewership?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is great. I think, it's an undisputed fight. There was all access from Showtime on this fight. There seemed to be
quickly, because there seems to be a misunderstanding on this card, because in AOBZ saying no boxer attended either. PBC should have forced them to show up. This wasn't a PBC card. I want to make that perfectly clear. This was a Salida Promotions card. As far as I know, neither of the main eventers are advised by Al Heyman. Right? I think Shields is a Jay Prince property in a sense. So we would all think that Showtime and Fox and PBC all work hand in hand, but this wasn't a PBC card. I think that in and of itself was an issue. If this was a PBC card and they combined forces to have one good card this weekend, it would have done better numbers. But beside the point, Rob, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's good. Yeah, I just sort of seeing what Leonard says there. There does seem to be a little bit of a trend. Showtime numbers have been down. Like, there's a lot of boxing at the moment, and like we've sort of spoke about, there's a bit of sort of dilution of the product, and it's just not grabbing the attention of, this isn't me on the Showtime's running out of money and they're going to go out of business. It's just numbers haven't been that great, and obviously the PBC card, which was just a shambles, really.
Quick added point to that. I think overall numbers have been down. Like the
yeah.
FS1 numbers have been pretty bad lately. There's been a couple times it's done like 200,000 viewers and stuff like that. Like it's done pretty poor. The Lamont Peterson Lipinets fight, which was amazing, did like what 250, 300,000 viewers on FS1, which has I want to say like 60, 70 million subscribers in a sense, which is 2 or 3 times more than Showtime. You know, overall the product is oversaturated and diluted. Like you can clearly see that across the board. ESPN has been suffering in terms of numbers. Showtime has. The only thing that we can probably say hasn't been suffering has been the main Fox shows. Those have routinely pulled in pretty good viewership. But everything else has struggled, I would say, in this new paradigm of so much content.
But as far it being a disaster or anything like that, which seems to be a point for certain sections of Twitter, but Shields, those numbers, they're comparable to some of the guys' numbers. So women's boxing, in a sense, is doing just fine. It's a main event, undisputed fight. I get that you might expect it to do more than her last fight when it wasn't for the undisputed, and this had somewhat more of a all access and more of a push and promotion and whatever, which yeah, I agree with, and maybe it should have done a little bit more. But boxing, sometimes people and fans need to seem to forget that we're not the biggest sport worldwide, in America, in the UK, or anything like that. And so other sports are going to have a lot of people watching it as well. So to grab that amount of people, and like you brought up, Tank Davis bringing up, catching the same amount of people, similar amount of people or less. I don't think it's quite the disaster, but again, like, I don't want to make out that it done fantastic, because it didn't. But boxing doesn't seem to be doing fantastic at the moment, in a sense, like people actually tuning in to watch it.
Agreed. Agree with a lot of the points you are stating. Let's get to this DAZN card. Jaime Munguia defending his WBO super welterweight title against Dennis Hogan.
What you gonna do, brother?
Thank you, Rob. I didn't see your arm move at all, so I was worried about whether you were just tuning out or not. I'm like, oh damn, he might not be on it. I'm gonna pause anyways. Yes, he did it. Awesome. I will be completely honest. I have not seen the rest of this card, so I can't speak on the Diego De La Hoya fight, which was a no contest. I can't speak to the Patrick Teixeira fight, which was a majority decision. I can't talk about those fights because I just have not seen anything about it. But I have seen the Munguia Hogan fight a couple of times. I haven't scored it at all. I'm being completely honest here, because I don't really care to. This is not the fight where I'm going to die on a scorecard hill. I just don't care. It was a really fun fight. It was a really back and forth dramatic affair in a sense. I mean, Munguia was hurt several times in the fight. Never went down, but he was hurt several times. Obviously, the majority of boxing Twitter is picking Hogan to win. About what the Showtime card? What are you talking about?
I was just saying like Showtime numbers, and it's sort of show box rather than like Showtime championship boxing or whatever.
Agree. Obviously, it wasn't the A team. It wasn't Al Bernstein, Paulie Malignaggi, Marwan Allo. It wasn't the full stop promotions and production for this event. The Shields event. Yes. It was a show box card. Digressing back to the DAZN card. Munguia, I mean, how much more can we say about the guy that we haven't already said? He's obviously a really fun fighter, an exciting fighter. But if he cannot hurt you, his game completely falls apart. Every time. Inoue, Liam Smith, now Hogan, all these guys giving him drastic issues in fights because Munguia cannot impose his will on them. He is one of those fighters. If he doesn't impose his will, he's going to lose. And I would also argue that at 32 fights now, that maybe we need to start talking about him being a little bit overrated, or that he's on the Deontay Wilder, Canelo sort of track where they have to take 30-plus fights before they fight elite competition. Because there's no way you can put Munguia against anyone in the legitimate top 5 of the division and he wins. Like, I think Austin Trout, even in today's age, will school Munguia, to be quite honest. I don't see the hype for him right now. I think he has completely ruined the hype train that was him post the Saddam Ali fight. And now we know that it was obviously really clever matchmaking, and the context of Saddam Ali and his chin and his proper weight division needs to be constantly reframed as we talked about Munguia, because he is good. He is absolutely good, but is he great? No, he is not. And he needs a lot of time before he is great, in my opinion. If he ever is great. That might be an if. It might not be a win. It might be an if. Rob, you said you've seen parts of this fight, right?
No, I've seen this one.
Oh, you have seen this one.
Yeah.
Then your complete thoughts on it, then, Rob. Go all out. In depth take on it, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, there's no robbery in my opinion. It was close, but I did score it to Hogan by 1 or 2 rounds. It seems to be like, as always with these decisions, one scorecard that makes you go, fucking hell, how did they see it like that? But they had it pretty wide. But I guess the right thing to do would be to offer a rematch, but probably not going to happen. They'll move on with the win, I'd imagine. But I think there is a suggestion that he's struggling at 154 pounds now. I think we're going to see a move to middleweight pretty soon. I think.
Don't worry about that move.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's not drained at it and he's fit and healthy at that weight, then I guess maybe we'll see it better. But like you say, it's not so much weight as an issue as maybe his technique and everything else kind of letting him down. He gets hit a lot. And like you said, if he doesn't hurt you, you can, if you're marginally technically better boxer than Munguia, then you're in with a shout. It's just perhaps don't take him on in Mexico. I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't super impressed. I think everyone expected Hogan to get knocked over at some point, and it didn't happen. And not only did it not happen, he was also at times getting sort of outboxed, outworked, and things like that. I think a lot of the judges might have lent towards Munguia's kind of like slightly more aggressive style, but that's not sort of how you should score a fight. But it is what it is. There's judges that like a certain way and judges that don't. But yeah, I've seen plenty of people. Was a tweet earlier of a guy jumping off a train and exploding on impact, like proper jumping off the Munguia train now. I don't know. I suggest whether a change of trainer or a whole change of like
something
sort of
needs to change.
Yeah, because so he knocked Saddam Ali down a few times.
Yo, but Saddam Ali beat Miguel Cotto, bro. Come on. The zone is saving boxing. Don't you know that?
But yeah, that's pretty much what we've seen Munguia do. Yeah. Knock over Saddam Ali like 5 times in 2 rounds or whatever it was. Since then, it's not been that.
It's been controversial decision after controversial decision. You know what's funny?
It's lackluster, just like it's kind of left you.
I imagine this is what like the Robert Easter Jr. haters felt like, right? When he was in his title reign before the Mikey fight, like, yo, he's winning controversial decision after controversial decision. Like, this is getting annoying now, right? Like, this is getting a little bit absurd at this point. But I was, of course, a Robert Easter fanboy, so that doesn't matter to me. But Munguia, I'm not a fanboy, so I don't care. I can completely be two-faced about it and double standards. I think Munguia needs a long burn for the top, and a move to middleweight is definitely concerning in my opinion, because if his power is not really being the deciding factor like we thought it would be at junior middleweight, then I think he's going to definitely struggle at middleweight. I don't see him having more success at middleweight. I actually see him having less success at middleweight. So God knows what's going to happen for Munguia next. Like I said, I have not seen anything else on this card. I have no further takes on Munguia. He needs to do a lot more, in my opinion, to deserve the clout he has been given from Golden Boy. Rob, any last takes on Munguia, Hogan, the demand for the rematch, all that fun stuff?
Not really. Unless we see some kind of improvement, I think we might see him face Canelo fairly soon and cash him out. Get that done with Golden Boy and one of Canelo's fights TikTok.
That's fucking illegal.
I'm just saying, get what you can out of the kid. Mexican fight, all Mexican, this, that, and the other. You know, maybe, who knows? But he'll need another knockout or two to make it look, you know, something like a decent fight. Because at the moment, ain't no one picking Munguia over Canelo if he steps up. Not that maybe many would have anyway, but at the moment, I think it's quite a one-sided opinion poll on Twitter.
Yeah, we're all in agreement here on boxing Twitter, except for Mr. DAZN, that Munguia is completely overrated and a hype machine, hype beast. He is a industry plant, absolutely. You like that, right? Industry plant. He is. Come on. Like if we ever have that point in the show where we can just talk about random conspiracies that we even don't believe in, but we just want to debate and rabbit holes to jump down, industry plants in boxing is one that I definitely want to jump in, because Munguia is high on that list for being an industry plant. That's all I gotta say.
And certain flag wavers in YouTube chats.
Or fucking channels, let's be honest. That's beside the point there. Let's talk about this a little bit. I'll talk about this because I know you haven't seen any of it. The PBC card on FS1. I have not seen the main event. I don't care about seeing the main event after I figured out what happened at the main event. But I will talk about what I have seen. Money Pal, the 6th, the 4th. Roman numerals always give me trouble. If the I is before the V, is that 6 or 4?
That's a New Hope 4.
You know, even then I was like, wait, New Hope 1, 2, 3. All right.
Yeah, not Return of the Jedi, Matt.
Thank you.
It's the New Hope.
Anyways, Money Pal the 4th. He looked pretty good. I will say that I would like to see better defense from him going forward, but he looked good. Great power. Obviously, a really big guy for that weight range right now. Middleweight, super middleweight. Chris Colbert, little B-Hop. I know, Rob, you've been a fan of him, so you will care about this. He looked, God, fantastic. 2 rounds. It was done. Finished him. Fought the guy that Scott Quigg fought, I think, in his last fight. Briones. Remember him? Scott Quigg knocked him out relatively quick as well. But B-Hop looks awesome. Definitely getting the Caleb Plant vibe from him. Sergey Derevchenko fighting Jack Kelkay. A really fun back-and-forth fight. Derevchenko winning and beating Jack Kelkay via, I think it was unanimous decision. I thought he won, but it was a fun fight, and Derevchenko, I think, still has some clear limitations in his game.
Yeah, for Eliminator, right?
What was it Eliminator of?
Derevchenko was a IBF Eliminator.
Really?
Even though he just lost in a title fight for the IBF bout. But,
that's what I thought you were going to say, maybe like a WBA Eliminator, something like that. Anyways, I did not see the Joey Spencer fight. I did not see the Peter Quillen fight. What other fights did I not see? I didn't see the Darwin Price fight either. I wanted to see that one. There was a couple other fights on that sort of undercard list that I did not see. I just haven't had time yet. I do apologize, but I would definitely go check out, especially the Joey Spencer and Darwin Price fight. I like those 2 prospects. The Peter Quillen fight, I could honestly care 2 shits about. But that is it for the fights this weekend, guys. Call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue to obviously get your thoughts and opinions about these fights. Call in on Skype as well, Mixed Combat Radio. Let's talk about a few news topics of the day, and then we're going to take some calls, and then wrap it up with sort of the last remaining news topics of the day. Rob, what's up? You have like a concerned look on your face. Like, like a new Star Wars trailer came out or something. Like it was concerning, man. I was worried about you. But let's get to the news of the day. Let's see it pop up slowly but surely. Yes, let's get to the one that someone came at me for, saying that I was being two-faced about this or whatever. Triple G facing Steve Rolls, June 8th.
Me rolling, they hating.
Rob, we didn't even practice that one, guys. That he sprung that on me too, guys.
That's what I was doing when you said Rob. Is something wrong?
Yo, I knew you were doing something. I didn't think it was gonna be that though. Oh my god, that made me tear up a little bit there, man. Man, your flow has improved so much, Rob. But anyways, June 8th at the Garden, the Zone debut. There'll be a press conference Monday and Tuesday in New York City and LA to announce. This is utter garbage, man. God, I don't like the Hassan Dom fight was one that I accepted, even though that's a pretty clear Triple G win. But God, like it's the Brandon Adams matchup for Jamal Charlo. Like these are just bad fights for the middleweight division right now, guys. Like we do not need these fights at all. Who's Andrade fighting next? I forget. Is that even scheduled?
Say again.
Demetri Andrade. Who's he fighting next? Do we have any idea about that?
I don't think he's got a fight just yet.
Okay.
I don't think.
So the only good fight in the middleweight division right now is Canelo Jacobs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Like Billy Joe Saunders is out calling out Gilberto Ramirez. Whatever, man.
Make Kate or fight me.
It's like, dude, I haven't fought the division yet. I mean, I don't even know how many other ways I can hate on this fight, Rob. I will be honest. It's just such a bad fight. To me, it's like Hassan Dom was serviceable, but it wasn't anticlimactic, right? Like there were some issues with it. It wasn't the greatest fight, obviously. You know, Hassan Dom isn't the greatest guy anymore. We know that, but it wasn't anticlimactic. It didn't suck the air out of the room. This fight sucks the air out of the room, like in every way. Like there's no way we can talk about this and get excited for it. There's no way. Oh, that's right, Jay Willett. Silitsky's fighting Andrade in the mandatory.
Oh, it's nothing.
Nothing official, but that's what they're planning at least. That's
the rumor. There was talk that Siletsky was injured and wouldn't make the fight, but he's come out and said, "I'll be ready for the fight if it gets made." And blah blah.
But
blah.
I knew there was something on the docket at least.
A name was mentioned.
Yes, not that it was planned, but that there was a name at least mentioned. Yes. Even that fight's like light years better than this fight. God, this is bad in every serviceable way. I don't want to see this. We will not do a live fight chat for it. We will not do immediate reaction for this. Triple G, yes, I know you just went through hell in back-to-back fights, but you didn't need to do this to the consumers, especially when now the zone costs $20 a month. Not worth it.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Poor. It's just poor.
It is.
The Endam fight now looks like fucking amazing.
It looks like gravy, man. It looks amazing, right?
Fight Hassan Endam against Triple G. Sign me up. Pay-per-view, no problem.
Get hyped. Nope. Steve Rolls.
I know, man. I was gonna do the rolls.
Please do it again. That make me happy. Do it again.
So Triple G, Steve Rolls.
They see me rolling, they hating.
I even left they're hating. I was just gonna say they see me rolling and let's leave it, but I thought they're hating. Yeah, keep that.
We need that. We do need that because we are hating. Yes, we are.
Yeah, no, it's poor. It's poor. I get the first fight on the zone and everything was gonna be some kind of easy gimme kind of fight, not risk anything as far as getting the Canelo, but I mean, give it some kind of danger, some kind of threat. I mean, look, I'll be honest, this is me speaking out of never seeing Steve Rolls fight.
Okay.
But no, I don't need to. I don't need to see.
Rob, I will admit with you, I have never seen Steve Rolls fight. I may have, I don't remember it, but I will say I have not seen him fight. I will probably go on a limb here and say that 99.9% of our listeners and viewers right now also have never seen Steve Rolls fight.
And I will go out on a limb and say there's a reason for that.
And I will also go on another limb, Rob, and say that me and you will not watch any tape on him leading up to the fight because we know what's up.
Yeah, that limb is safe to go out on.
That's not really a limb, is it? Just the ground.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at the tree to get up on the said limb. Yeah, no, it's awful. It's poor, but like I said, I kind of get the route, but not this sort of poor. Don't do this, but
don't do this.
You know, he's turned 37 or 38. Maybe he just needs to, make sure the limbs still work and there's no, come through unscathed. But there's got to be something, some kind of, even if it's a little bit of a threat, But I don't know. Maybe Rolls is.
Sometimes I feel discouraged.
Boxing lets us down so much, guys. I don't know why we do this. These types of news stories make me go, why? Why have I chosen this?
Look. If Leonard Sterling says in the chat, I've never heard of fucking Steve Rolls, then
who the fuck is that guy?
I'm not even sure Steve Rolls exists if Leonard Sterling hasn't heard of him. Because he is like...
Industry plant. Industry plant. The new Munguia.
It could be.
No.
Could be.
No, it can't. But yeah, that's our in-depth take about Triple G.
Depth there, right?
That guy, Steve Rolls. Fuck, I forgot his name already. So whoever's in the chat talking shit, yeah, suck a fat one, dude. Honestly. Seriously. I'm trying to say that we were hyping up the fight. What the hell have you been listening to? The first time this news came out, we all shitted on it. What are you talking about? Let's get to...
I done a little tweet, hashtag. That's how hashtag Triple G rolls. Hashtag GGG rolls. See what I did
there? Yes. Anyways, Danny Garcia, who fights...
They hating.
We definitely need just the hating part, because that needs to be a separate one that we put out.
They see me rolling. They see me rolling. They're hating, and just they're hating.
Yep. We need that. We need that, right? But anyway, Danny Garcia, who fights this weekend against Granados, and it should be a fun fight, even though I think it's pretty obvious who should win it. But he is saying that he is supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao or Keith Thurman afterwards, per Lance Pugmire. I don't think that's gonna happen, to be honest, Danny. Though why it could happen is because Danny is still probably one of the bigger names in the division. But I don't even know if that's true anymore. Like his Showtime numbers were bad against Porter and Rio. So I don't know if Danny has the clout anymore to say that I can jump the line and get the Manny Pacquiao Keith Thurman rematch. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I don't think so.
That's a gut shot. Danny Garcia ain't got the clout anymore.
Stay off the weed.
Sorry, Danny. Get out of the club, man. I don't want to see 10,000 videos of you spanking your wife in front of your kids. I don't care to see that. Okay, just please, just like look good in a fight. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Any in-depth take on it, Rob? Or you just gonna let me?
I guess. I mean, Keith and Danny again in New York, Brooklyn, or whatever would be a big draw. It'd probably do well. I don't know. Yeah, like you say, it's like kind of like Danny Garcia's kind of sort of just fell off now. It's like, I don't know. He needs a big win. I don't know. Just in when it comes to the real big one, he doesn't seem to come off as the winner, I guess. But yeah, he's kind of really slipped in the minds of the people, I think, as far as this division goes. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I believe ITV are picking this one up. I'm probably record it.
Of course.
I'll be just probably. It's this weekend, right? 20th.
Yeah.
Is it this? So that's Crawford Khan, Garcia Granados, and obviously warm up of all warm ups. White versus White, Brown and
Oh shit, that's this weekend.
Uh-huh.
Man, poor UK boxing, man. How the mighty have fallen, right? I'll be honest, I played the wrong soundbite there. I apologize. It's supposed to
yeah. How's your fallen?
That was a slip. My bad.
Yeah. Don't hate on this card. I don't mind it. Josh Kelly back.
Is it pay-per-view?
No.
Oh, okay. Then it's okay. Then that's fine.
Yeah.
You're good. Could be worse.
Chisora. See what the new Chisora 6.0 looks like.
Agreed. Let's move on from this shit show that's going to be this weekend, because even the UFC card is trash this weekend. Like, nothing is... There's no real, like, fight that has me hyped at all. It's rather unfortunate. But anyways, let's get through these last couple news topics, and let's go to some callers. Eddie Alvarez versus Jesse Hart is... they've agreed to it, but nothing is signed yet. I love that fight. And in the theme of guys coming off losses and going into tough comeback fights, a la Robert Easter and Francis Bartholomew, love it. Absolutely love when fighters do that, when they have the gumption to do something along those lines. Also, Mike Cobbinger saying sources Gary Russell Jr. is expected to return May 18th on Showtime undercard of Deontay Wilder Dominic Brazil. Russell hasn't competed since a May 18th victory over Jojo Diaz. Last time Russell competed twice in 1 year, 2014. I would also expect, with the money that main event's going to cost Showtime, that Gary Russell is not going to fight the best competition, guys. Being honest.
Nope.
Daniel Dubois, he's been extra spicy in the media lately, calling out everyone.
The personality of a rock extra spicy.
I mean, for Daniel Dubois, he has been extra spicy.
Yeah, he said, I'll fight Chisora or Dave Allen next.
If no George Joyce fight, yes, that's some spiciness from Daniel Dubois. I like that. It's an improvement, Rob, okay? Not everyone can be as witty as you. Saunders, Gilberto Ramirez, saying face me or give it the title. Hold on. I think I have the soundbite for that one. Hold on, Rob. Don't do anything. Fuck, where is it? There we go.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Yep, that's my thoughts on that one. Katie Taylor, about to match Cecilia Brækhus and Clarissa Shields as undisputed champions in boxing, facing Delphine Persoon for the Undisputed Championship at the AJ Miller undercard. Yes.
Key change.
Key change. I like that. That was good, man. That was fun. Sorry, I forgot this very, very important topic we have to get to. Susan is officially coming back, fighting Shun Kubo for the WBA title fight May 26th in China. I hope we're going to get some access to this, whether it's Showtime, ESPN Plus. I don't know if that is the case yet. Nothing is said in this article about that. I'll be honest, I kind of doubt we get anything, but here's hoping that we do see Susan back in action, because Zhu Shan is probably one of the most exciting fighters we have seen in recent times, even though we've only seen him once.
It was on the DAZN card, right? He fought.
Yes.
We saw him. Would it maybe DAZN not pick it up? I don't know. Content from around the world.
Well, they had right to the A side, and he was the B side in that fight. So I don't know if DAZN has some sort of.
Did Golden Boy have an option on it?
I want to say so. So if this is a Golden Boy event, then
DAZN might get it, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. But they're saying this article is going to be promoted by Max Power Promotions.
Oh.
So I would assume that's probably like a co-promoter that's like Zhu Shan's original promoter in a sense. Like Zanfer Promotions in a sense, for like Mexican fighters. But anyways, Zhu Shan fighting in May. Get hyped.
Leonard Sterling saying he is with Golden Boy.
Yeah, but we don't know if that's particularly going to be a Golden Boy event that they.
Oh, no. I'm just saying.
Yeah, like that might be one that they let him go back to China and get a fight in a sense. Similar to like Rungs Vi when he got that fight in one championship in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
Just because he wanted a one-off fight, but he had a DAZN deal in place, but that fight was on DAZN. Rob Brandt versus Ryota Moreta rematch expected to be announced next week. I kind of get why they made this fight because there's not much else in the division at that side or on that side of the block. Also, Ioka Pilate title fight signed and sealed for June 9th in Chiba, Japan. So that should be a fun one. But anyways, that's it for all the news of the day. Let's get to some callers.
Wait. Where is it? Aobes in the chat. Floyd is launching his new cowboy boots. Is launching his cowboy boots.
Oh yeah, let's talk briefly about that Mayweather announcement of an announcement coming tomorrow. First off, please stop doing that. I don't know how many times I have to get on this show and say, please stop doing that for them to listen to me, Rob. It's very upsetting. But please stop having an announcement videos of you having an announcement later on in some future time. I don't care about that. Also, Mayweather is definitely just signing some sponsorship deal like he did with Paddy Power. And that's all it's going to be, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think Mike Coppinger come out and said don't expect anything major. Like Thurman is still tied up with Manny or certain. Basically, everyone's busy, so don't expect anything kind of major. Although I don't know, it's very Floyd-like, I guess. If this is just gonna, someone said like, has he bought a new watch? It's like
that'd be awesome.
Just guessing all kinds of shit what this could be. Some saying he's got some gyms or fitness places coming out, but he alluded to another 100 million plus or something. So whether there is a fight, who knows? But like I put out a tweet, hit me up if it's A, fighting another professional boxer, B, he's in his weight class, and C, he is some kind of top level guy, maybe even with a belt. Other than that, I'm not really interested.
We don't believe you. You need more people.
And that's not for you, Rob. That's for Mayweather because I really don't have like "we don't care" soundbite. That's the closest thing I have to like "we don't care" soundbite. So we don't care, Mayweather. That's what I have to say about it.
I'm going to clip that. I don't care. And just forget that. I love it. I'm just going to skip that bit.
Yeah, because that kind of ruins the point.
Yep.
Let's go to Zulu on the Skype machine. Zulu.
Yo, MCR.
What up?
How y'all doing today, man? Salute to y'all.
Salute to you, man.
Rob,
how are you?
Salute to you. Where's my bearded brother Fu? I'm supposed to be rubbing it in his face today about this Clarissa Shields deal here. He couldn't make it today, but that's all right.
He's duck. He's a duck, man. It's unfortunate. He's ducking that work.
But yeah, man, just briefly, I know you talked about this fight a lot, but just briefly what I had about it, man, I think that, man, Clarissa Shields put on a boxing clinic, in my opinion. Now, Hammer is a decent fighter. She just is so European style. She just stuck in the European style, that kind of where her chin is straight up in the air. She did the 1, 2, and the 3, at times, but her chin is right there, man. Clarissa Shields showed brilliance in closing the distance with her head movement. It was a classic American style versus, the overseas style. It just seemed like that was the difference in that fight. Clarissa Shields showed me everything that I was wanting her to show. Of course, we all would have liked the knockout, but like you said, I think they should give the women 3-minute rounds. I mean, just like UFC. But UFC didn't start off that way either. They had to ease into it, and I think boxing will, open their eyes and go ahead and give the women the 3 rounds that they should have. But excellent job by Clarissa Shields. Actually, I think that the woman she fought before her, what's her name? Hannah Gabriel.
Yes,
Gabriel. Sorry, Gabriel.
I think Hannah Gabriel was a better fight than Hammer.
Yep.
And to be honest, so what Clarissa Shields did say, she didn't see what people was talking about, as far as Hammer being such a threat and the hardest person she fought. because Gabriel definitely was a harder fight for it, seemed like. But kudos and congrats to the ladies for doing their thing, and hopefully we do get to see them a little bit more. But like Rob said, Rob made a great point. The depth is just not there. It seems like at times. If we remember, we've had the not Katie Taylors, but the what's her name?
Like the Ann Wolfs?
No, the Ann Wolfs. We had the Layla Ali's and what's the other
Christy Martin. Christy Martin.
Christy Martin.
Yeah.
Every time we get a good one like that, it seems like, and it looks like the women's division is going to pick up, it starts to wilt. Because we've had some highlight names that come through that have come through.
But if you really think about it, Zulu, there's really been no institutional support for women's boxing until now. Like, boxing supported Layla Ali because it was Ali's daughter. Let's be honest.
True.
Christy Martin got what I believe she never really main evented a big card in her life. I think she was always on Mike Tyson undercards. She was always co-main eventing other people. She was never given the spotlight and opportunity to shine and to lead a sport in the right direction. I think now in this era, we are seeing that. Lou DiBella, Eddie Hearn, obviously Salida Promotions with Shields. They are trying to push women as their premier product. And once you start treating them like that, then you will get more women involved with the sport. The reason why we see a lot more depth in women's MMA is because women's MMA is treated as equals. They're given opportunities. They're given space to excel and to succeed. There's an entire women's MMA promotion that the UFC runs. It's called Invicta Fighting Championships. They put on monthly cards, and every fight on that card is a women's fight. So until we get sort of that institutional support for women's boxing, I think the issue of the depth of women's divisions will never really be solved until the actual people that hold the keys to the kingdom, the network execs, the promotional heads that have been around for 40, 50 years, until those people, those old white men say, yes, we're going to give women the power and the keys to the kingdom, it won't happen. We won't see this influx of women. Even though we do have Katie Taylor, Clarissa Shields, Heather Hardy, the Serrano sisters, obviously inspiring a younger generation of women. But that younger generation of women, if they are not also given opportunities, if they are not also allowed space into the community, then they're going to leave. They're going to spend a few years in the sport, then leave because they're not given that space.
That's a great analogy. And I agree. I can't help but agree 100% on that. You really can't argue that because the efforts just haven't been put behind them. But if you think about the pool of fighters they do have right now in the female division, they do have enough to market them, if they market them the right way, to open up female boxing really big right now. I believe they do. If they market it the right way, like you said a lot of great points there, and they make nothing but sense. Because if you just looking at Clarissa Shields last weekend, man, her skill set is great, man. She has a better skill set than some men, than a lot of those guys, man.
Sorry, not to interject here, but another point I made about the Shields and Hammer fight not doing the greatest numbers on TV is because the card wasn't that great. The only fight of note was Shields Hammer. Imagine if Showtime and Fox, a la the PBC group, actually worked together and they made one card. And Peter Quillen, Caleb Truax was the co-main event. You have the Joey Spencer, Lil B-Hop on the card, and then Shields Hammer as the main event. And you put that card on Fox. Give it the rub. Give it the push. Give it the opportunity to really be seen by the masses. I think we've done massive numbers, but it didn't do that. We literally hamstrung this women's fight, and of course we got the numbers we got back because of that.
To me, you look at like the Katie Taylor. She's been on like a lot of Joshua undercards, like almost co-main or chief support or whatever, and pretty much all of her fights, she's come away with many people saying she stole the show. She was the standout fighter on the card. And we're talking like, Joshua and people like that. Now, I don't know. It's nice to give, obviously, Shields and Hammer the main event status, but would this have been best served on maybe like underneath the Wilder and Brazil card, like co-main event on the big stage, a lot of people tuning in, big heavyweight fight. Obviously, Wilder does great numbers. If they come on before Wilder, would that have been a better thing than them? I know at some point we want it to be where these women are headlining fights,
right?
But just to get more eyes on now, I know they're leading the front, you know, from Shields and Taylor.
Yeah,
leading
I agree
the way.
with you. I agree with what you're saying, Rob, because it would have gave him more visibility, and 9 times out of 10, most people when they see it, they'll agree more with it than just hearing about it. You know, when they would have saw it, because it was a pretty good fight. It wasn't lackluster or anything like that. I was expecting Hammer to be a little bit more diverse, but she just couldn't deal with that head movement. And her jab, she has a great jab, but that the way she's just kind of straight up and down. Her chin, I mean, every time she lets off, when she finished punching, her chin is right there. And Clarissa Shields started finding that, and she started kind of walking through it. I mean, it was just a great exhibition of boxing to me. A counter of styles. You know what I'm saying? But there was another fight on that card, and I know Matt didn't like the rest of the card, but there was a Franklin Booker fight, the heavyweights. Did you see that? Oh, you probably didn't see it, but I'll tell you what.
I'll put it this way: I saw it, unfortunately.
Yeah, but look at it wasn't really what you want to see, but it was a classic counterpuncher in the Booker guy against a guy that's coming out young and just he threw heat on everything he threw. Every punch he threw, it was nothing but heat, but he has no real power. But the counterpuncher, even though he was getting in some punches, I mean, he got in some good punches, but he's a classic counterpuncher in the understanding that he will not punch until you punch. He's not going to do it. And by doing it, and he's trying to punch in between the other guys' punches. I mean, it's a great, if you like boxing sometimes from a style perspective, it wasn't the greatest fight, but it was a classic example of a counterpuncher that doesn't know how to follow up off the counterpunch. You know, it's a difference when you got a counterpuncher that follows up off the counterpunch. But he just was straight waiting to hit to punch in between Franklin's punches. But I thought Franklin is pretty overrated from what they were saying about him. I hadn't seen him fight but once before. But other than that, I didn't see anything other than the styles itself. You know, what you thought about? Did you even look at it enough to see anything in that area, Matt?
I'll be honest. I was kind of watching it from my side eye. I didn't care about it too much. I was watching the UFC card at the same time.
You double dip. You was double dipping.
Yeah. and you know me, man. Like I'm always quite critical of heavyweight combat sports.
Right.
Franklin has been given a lot. There's been a lot of not push, but a lot of hype about him. But
right.
I saw little snippets of it on via YouTube, and yeah, I didn't blow me away. But sometimes those kind of fights, they do end up being fun fights. You know, you're not particularly that hyped to watch it, but you watch it and it's nice, it's not bad. It was a good little scrap or whatever. But yeah, Franklin, I think, slightly overrated from what I've seen on people saying a lot on social media about the guy.
Yeah, he couldn't handle a guy that was just strictly counterpunching. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. Yeah. But also about the Loma, of course, my man Loma went and handled his business like he was supposed to. He's a man amongst boys in that division. You just got to tell the truth about that. Is he the greatest? Like Matt said, it's arguable. You know, but look, about a year or maybe 2 years ago, I wasn't the best Loma fan. I'm gonna tell you what I was doing, like a lot of people are doing, and you're shooting yourself in the foot if you do like I did. I kept talking about, he lost to Salido. He lost to Salido. You know, we kept bringing that up. Well, he had that loss. It's no way on God's green earth Salido can beat him if he fought him today. It's not. It wouldn't even be close. We know that. So I had to understand. You have to come to the understanding that even though that loss is a blemish, the reality of it is he's a much, much better fighter than the guy who beat him. It's without question.
Absolutely.
You know, and so when I see him put on a performance against Crolla, am I saying it right? Am I saying it right, Rob? Crolla.
Sounds like Crolla.
Okay.
Just say it faster. I think that's the trick for us Yanks. Just say it faster.
Just make it sound like a Toyota.
Yeah. But even in that kind of a fight, you cannot deny this is the most. I'm telling you, I've never seen a fighter that thinks like this, man. And if you look at Loma, he normally starts warming up at around the fourth round. That's when he really start figuring you out, and then he starts pressing the gas on you. But in this instance, this guy shouldn't have never been in the ring with him, honestly. And I even had an issue with the referee, Jack Reese. He should have stopped it the first time when he went against the rope. He should have stopped it there. I think Jack Reese let it go a little too far because he got him hurt. I mean, he could have got seriously hurt there. So I mean, I don't know if anybody else caught that about Jack Reese with that. I think he should have stopped it right there. It was
he gave
obvious.
A standing 8 count, didn't he? It confused a lot of people.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't a standing 8 count. It was the fact that the ropes held him up, right?
Hit the ropes, yeah. He hit the ropes.
It wasn't a standing 8 count. It was a knockdown. But it was,
it counted as a knockdown, but he didn't actually go down. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, standing 8, he didn't even go down. What the hell? But
yeah,
I
like
agree.
He waved it off, though. It looked like he just kind of waved it off, like, because Lomachenko thought it was over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was on the rope celebrating and stuff.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I just think,
had he stopped it, though?
Had he stopped it like
stopped there, would you have been upset?
No. If they stopped it right there, I wouldn't have been upset. I understand.
Why, of course not.
I understand why he didn't stop it, though.
And Loma didn't bust his knuckle as well. If he just stopped it.
Man, that Lomachenko is the truth, man. I mean, like I said a couple of years ago, I would have argued with you up and down. And my main point of the argument would have been he lost to Salido. How can he be considered pound for pound? But that is really a stagnant, and it's just an inappropriate argument. It doesn't hold no weight because Salido hasn't done. It's not nowhere near on that level.
When also,
this man is on.
Also, it's clearly, I would say, misusing statistics. Like you have his fight record, right? If you look at only one fight out of the rest of the field, his other fights, and only talking about that one fight, you are clearly misusing the statistics of a resume. Because one fight does not define a fighter. And on top of that, we know tons of great fighters that have lost to subpar competition or inferior competition. It happens.
Right.
You know,
it's how you take those losses and come back from those losses, and what you learn from those losses that make the great fighters great, or the not so great fighters, continue that trend. But the best come through it and show you why they're the best. But didn't like Salido fucking hit him fucking low and rough him up and
but who cares?
No, I'm just saying there's all points to it.
Don't be foo here. Don't be foo and try to defend the Salido loss. He lost to Salido. It's cool.
It's all right, Phil. I got you, man.
Zulu, any other points that you want to bring up on your call?
No, that's it, man. Go ahead and get the rest of the callers, man. Enjoy the show. Y'all keep doing what you're doing, and salute to the MCR team, baby.
Shout out Zulu.
Go check out his channel, Tank Commander Zulu on YouTube. Always a great guy. He supports us, support him. Let's go out to the phone lines, 323-870-4051. Santiago in LA. Then we have Gary in Dallas. And then Mr. DAZN. Santiago, what's up?
Not much. Just here at home, just relaxing, doing my own thing. And, let's talk about the fights because we saw most of them. We saw the one we wanted to watch. And, it's I'm very happy that I got to see the Showtime one with you. The undercard was absolute garbage. Honestly, I remember we were making fun of them, just saying like, man, JP could have probably knocked these guys out like 8-7 rounds ago or shit like that. Great performance by Shields. Looked completely polished. Her defense was so slick, so on point. It was amazing how she was getting away from some of those punches, dodging them or avoiding them by a hair's breadth. Hammer, though, tough, taking some of those punches flush and not going down, staying on her feet. Reminded me a little of Vitaly Klitschko. I hope to see her fight again. Definitely look forward to what'll be Shields' next move. Curious to see whether or not she'll be able to comfortably make 154 if they are able to reach an agreement with Cecilia Braquez, and that would be a very fun matchup. The first and second undisputed champions in women's boxing facing off each other. Obviously, I feel that Cecilia's probably past her best at this point. Didn't look good against Kali Reese, but would still be a fun matchup. Still a good name to add to Shields' record. And, you know, we can only wait to see what will be on. And I am so happy that I asked you why when you asked me why I didn't put on the fucking FS1 card, because once I saw what happened, that was not worth it. That was so not worth it. And I want anyone to argue with me that the FS1 main event was worth more than the Showtime one, because a fight ending after 2 rounds and a no decision out of a headbutt, nah, man, that was wasted time right there. The undercard fighters were a lot better, and even then, those are more or less showcase fights. Love seeing what Money Powell did. Love seeing Joey Spencer in action. Hope to see them doing more and progressing as fighters, as individuals, seeing the competition get better too. And as for the zone card, it's very telling when you look for the highlights, and of a 12-round fight, you get 3 rounds for highlights, and the one thing that stays consistent in those highlights is hearing in the background that the challenger, the underdog, is the one who looks like he's coming away with the victory, only for the obvious favorite, and at this point, who we consider the protective fighter, comes away with the win. This guy's 22 years old, 33-0. His best win is against a career welterweight in Saddam Ali. It's his progress, if there was any to begin with, pretty much stagnated once he won that title. And whoever decided that it wasn't a good idea for him to take on Canelo was right on the money to do that, because I think even a wagering Canelo could have knocked out Munguia at this point. Lord only knows where Munguia goes at this point. Obviously, I don't think a move up to 160 is good for him, because if he's struggling against this kind of competition at 154, and these are people that I've obviously never heard of, what's it going to be like at 160, where there's some pretty decent names on there, like Daniel Jacobs, Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, and the likes, you know? Don't really have much else to say. If you guys have any other questions you want to ask me about any of the topics on hand, feel free to shoot. Otherwise, that's my call. Everyone that's listening in, hit the like button, share, subscribe. These guys put in tons and tons of work for us to give us the kind of content we get, and it only seems fair that we show these guys how much we appreciate that.
Thank you, Santiago, for the call. We do have some breaking news, though, and we can finally use this breaking news soundbite, Rob. Yes. Breaking news from Mike Coppinger. It says, breaking.
Wait. That's brilliant.
What?
It's just brilliant.
Oh, it was
just
good? You liked it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I liked it
We
too.
should go like, welcome, breaking news for MCR Net News.
I was smiling too much. I couldn't do it, man. Anyways, breaking. Ivan Branchik has reached an agreement in principle with World Boxing Super Series organizers to remain in the tournament. He will defend his welterweight title against Josh Taylor May 18th in Glasgow. After all, according to sources, the deal was struck after a legal battle that included WBSS obtaining a part injunction in Swiss court. Branchik has been training as wild card, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, yeah, Branchik is back in the tournament, guys. Yeehaw. What? So now we can at least move on from that clusterfuck of situation, at least, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's good. Good for Taylor that he didn't have to have some random dude step in. But, yeah, he's going to get a world title shot, obviously, and then obviously go on and beat Regis Prograis. And, I don't know, move up to welterweight and take everything off everybody from PBC.
Anyways, go out to Gary in Dallas. Gary, what's up?
I thought with the breaking news you were going to announce the big comeback of Zab Super Judah.
Oh, I
thought
forgot.
that was the breaking news that you were getting into.
My bad.
He's only 41, so he's got a couple of years left to make another run. He's 7 times.
You know what? That is true.
Keep that in mind.
But God knows what legal battle he's facing now after he tried to stab DeMarcus Corley at the Mayweather gym. So
Why did it make me laugh? He stabbed the dude. I'm laughing.
wait, he didn't stab. He didn't stab him. He tried to stab him. Let's get that.
But he was a nurse though, right? He was like a hospital.
Yeah, so he's good. Like he could stab homie and fix him up. It's okay.
Yeah, I thought Zab turned over a new leaf. I thought he was born again. I thought he's stabbing people. Was he a nurse or a medical technician of some variety? I thought he was trying to live a clean life now. He's trying to stab people? Come on, Zab.
I mean, maybe the sparring session got too heated. I don't know. But that's the rumor going around that I forget. I think it was like a Ryan Burton or something like that of boxing scene that reported it. Somebody in Vegas. I know somebody in Vegas. That's all I know.
I guess the facts of the case will come out. Chop, have you ever met Chop Chop? He's a great guy. I've seen him at a couple of fights. He's a great dude. I mean, it's hard to hold a lot of anger towards that guy. I mean, I don't know what happened, but Chop Chop is the nicest guy in the sport.
I don't think I've met Chop Chop. I don't think I have. But he seems like a nice guy.
I wanted to get on. Oh wow! I totally lost my train of thought. Okay, let's start with Crolla. His name is Crolla, not Crolla. Crolla, $1 Million Crolla, correct?
Yes.
A little bit of a Texas twang to it, but yeah.
Add a bit of twang, but we'll live with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. How'd your boy look on Friday night, Rob? That's your guy. I want your analysis of his performance.
I just you must have missed the start of the show, Gary, but
yeah, I did.
Yeah,
okay. Did he look good? Give him a grade.
Maybe rewind. No, I'll tell you. I just felt he was a bit rabbit in the headlights. I saw.
Hold on. I got to address this because you said it earlier. Rabbit in the headlights. Is that like the UK version of deer in the headlights?
Of deer in the headlights?
Is that the UK version of that?
Well, it's all in English. It's just a different animal.
No, I know. I understand that. Is that the UK version of the saying? Like, is your deer in the headlights a rabbit in the headlights? And that's all I'm asking because I've never heard rabbit in the headlights in my life.
Than a deer, because the deer in the headlights just looks up and either gets hit or you swerve off the road. Rabbit tends to look like, oh shit, you know what I mean? It's more of a panic situation.
Anyways, back to whatever you guys are talking about.
Yeah, my quick take on it is, no, he just looked, I saw Coppin just say like, oh, Crolla's fighting scared. I think it was Crolla fighting someone fantastic and he didn't know what to do about it.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Jack Reese said that he always counts to 10. That's what he said after he gave Fury the count and didn't wave it off.
Oh my God.
But and I think he was right in both situations. I think that he should have let the 3 fight go, and he should have stopped this one. But he waved the count off at 4. You can go back and watch it. So much for Jack Reese saying he always counts to 10. The women's fight. Well, let me ask you this. Which card did you guys watch live, and then which one did you watch later on? Between the 3 cards on Friday.
I watched Shields Hammer. Well, I'll put it this way. I watched the UFC prelims, and then when Shields Hammer was on, I turned to that because I didn't care about the Showtime undercard. And then when that was done, I watched the UFC card. That's what I watched live.
That's why the Fox card.
Okay.
And it was like the main event at 1 a.m. or something.
And then I went back.
I think so. It was super late.
And real quick, the Fox, the FS1 card, the Peter Quillen card, I didn't see it because it cut off. And it didn't just cut off. I extended an hour, right? So I always set it so it records an extra hour after the event ends. And it still got cut off in the main event.
Yeah.
I put the card started in the 7th inning of the Mets versus Braves game when it was 11-1 or something like that. I don't understand like how they're an hour off, right? Like they started an hour. Whatever. I didn't get any of the fight. It's not like it cut off in the 10th round.
Gary, I'm just going to tell you this now going forward. Record the next show after on the guide and add some time to that one as well. Because Fox pacing or FS1 pacing, you guys in boxing are going to love it. Oh, my God. Us MMA fans had to endure with that for 7 years. Congrats. Now you guys got it.
I'm lucky I put an extra hour on it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got the Deverchenko fight either.
Yep.
Which was a pretty decent fight. But I wonder, because we're talking about the women's card and why they don't get, I don't know. I missed the beginning of the show. Did they do a rating? Did that show get a number yet?
Yeah.
What number did it?
It did.
What did it do?
I don't have it up in front of me, but it was like 340 average and like 370 peak.
Yeah, but you on about the Fox numbers?
Fox numbers were bad.
It's not good. I mean, that's the biggest women's fight that you can make at the time. And I mean, like 370 is not the end of the world, but it's not exactly going to motivate them to keep making more of these. Like if it did 600 or 500, they would make another one.
It did better than Gervonta Davis's last fight.
Did it really?
Yep.
Gervonta did less than? Okay.
Yep. The Laura fight did better.
And you're right.
The Laura fight did better, but the Gervonta fight, did better than Gervonta fight.
This is Gervonta versus the cab driver, the Hugo Ruiz fight?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And you're right, because Gervonta next time Gervonta fights, he'll headline a Showtime card. So that being said, maybe they will. Right, because you guys are talking about Christy Martin. When Christy Martin was on the come up, it was only Christy Martin. The sport was so new that there wasn't anyone at her level. There wasn't anybody else good enough. Now there are, right? So now you can sell the sport because there's more high-level women in the sport. It used to just be Christy Martin and a pretty bad product, right? Now, like, there's a bunch of good women fighters, right? Like, if you just go to the card and there's a random women fight that you don't know the fighters, like, they're pretty good. Like, they're not bad. Like, they're good fighters, and the fights are usually entertaining, which I think the 2-minute round increases the entertainment level because there's more toe-to-toe combat. They're firing more fists, throwing more punches because the rounds are shorter. So I wouldn't change. Maybe go to 12 rounds for championship fights, but I wouldn't change the 2-minute rounds. I think that helps sell the fight, right? Because you don't get as many knockouts in women's fights. You just don't. But you get a lot of action because you only got 2-minute rounds. So maybe go to 12 rounds for championship fights, but I would keep them at 2 minutes. What do you guys think about that?
No, I don't agree with that at all. Women's MMA has the same amount of time as men's MMA, same amount of rounds as men's MMA, and it's just as good as a product, just as good as an entertainment level. And I think, again, hamstringing the women in championship fights where they only fight 20 minutes. Think about that, Gary. A male championship fight is 36 minutes of action. A women's championship fight is 20 minutes of action. That's unacceptable. That needs to be dealt with.
Again, I don't know anything about MMA. I know tennis is best out of 5 instead of best out of 7. I mean, best out of 3 instead of best out of 5. In golf, they moved the tees up. In basketball, they play 2 20-minute halves instead of 48 minutes. Like, the women's game is always shorter because they're physically smaller.
That's great. Awesome. I'm not talking about those sports. I'm talking about combat sports, which is a better analogy. Women's MMA is the same amount of time.
Okay. Again, you could be telling. I'll assume you're telling me the truth. I could either confirm or deny. I'll believe you.
It's not a matter of assumption,
right.
Gary. It is just fact. You don't have to assume that I'm right.
Yeah, I'm not saying you. Okay, but I can't confirm or deny that. I have no idea if that's true. You could tell
Gary.
me.
Gary.
Yeah.
It's very easy. I'll hang up on you right now. Google it and fact check me, motherfucker. Please. Please. No, Gary, no. We're hanging up on you. No, Gary. I'm coming back to you. I'll come back to you in 5 minutes, okay? Fact check me, please. Tell me that women's MMA is shorter because you know more than me. Please tell me that, Gary. I would love that. We're going back to you. We're going to go to Mr. DAZN probably next and then come back to you, Gary, because it's ridiculous to take that stance in the argument and to be that much of a pedantic arguer. Is just annoying. It is. That doesn't serve
Gary, stop.
It doesn't serve the argument and debate in any purpose, Gary.
Stop.
So we're going to go to Mr. DAZN, and then we'll come back to you, Gary. Look it up. Fact check me. Mr. DAZN, what's up?
Hey, how you guys doing today? It's your boy H Money, Mr. DAZN. I just want to talk boxing with you guys. I'm happy that you brought up Jaime Munguia today, and you know he's one of my favorite fighters, and I would like to compare him to a young Julio Cesar Chavez with the Mexican style. because that kid brings it every time. He comes forward and he's undefeated, by the way. You know, people don't give him his credit for being a 22-year-old world champion. There's not too many champions at 22 years old in the world right now. And, you know, people always give Gervonta Davis his credit, but what about Hyman Munguia? I believe he deserve a lot more credit. But I mean, the show was sold out. You know what I mean? It was in Mexico. It was a lot of people there. Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez was there himself to watch his protege fight. So I mean, that's all big, man. And I want to talk about Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade is a 3-time world champion, and he fights on DAZN. He's undefeated. I mean, I know everybody's seen the videos. Of Demetrius Andrade calling out Charlo, going to the press conference. He was at Charlo's press conference. He caught them out plenty of times, and Charlo been ducking him. And also, I want to talk about Demetrius Andrade being the next Winky Wright. Yes, because back in the day, I know you remember when Winky Wright was fighting, nobody gave him a chance. You know, Winky Wright, he just was beating everybody, racking up wins. And once he got a chance, he fought Shane Mosley, and he beat Shane Mosley and became undisputed. So, I mean, I just want the boxing world, to take notice of Demetrius Andrade, because he beat Keith Thurman in the amateurs as well. I mean, I know everybody knows this already, but I'm just bringing it to the attention to everybody who loves Keith Thurman and thinks he's just so good. You know, Demetrius Andrade did beat him, you know. So, I mean, I'm just loving DAZN every day. I paid for the whole year of DAZN. I'm very excited about this. I paid $100 for DAZN, man, for the whole year, and I got a whole year of just excellent boxing. When you think about the year 2019, and you think about the biggest fights in boxing of 2019, so far, Jacobs and Canelo is the biggest fight. That's the biggest fight in boxing right now, and it's on DAZN, and it's not even on pay-per-view. And I mean, Matt, you know, on ESPN Plus, they're in charge of, I mean, there's a pay-per-view fight, Terrence Crawford versus Amir Khan. Amir Khan, who also fights on DAZN, he's doing a pay-per-view fight on ESPN. I mean, ESPN is really taking advantage of customers, and they're charging people plenty of money for a bullshit fight that could have been on the app, you know? And I just want to question Bob Arum. And what are his motives, really? What is Bob Arum's motives? I know he's probably too old to remember what he's doing. I mean, this guy is about 90 years old. I mean, enough is enough. He had his time. I think it's Eddie Hearn's time now. And, you know, Eddie Hearn, he come from a blessed family with his father, Barry Hearn. He was born into the game. He's like the Floyd Mayweather of promoters. He was born to do this, you know. Eddie Hearn is a great person. He pays fighters the most money, by the way. You know, Daniel Jacobs left PBC and came to DAZN and got his biggest payday, $15 million from Eddie Hearn in DAZN.
It's garbage.
All right. Thank you for the call, Mr. DAZN. Awesome. I don't have energy for it.
Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
I just don't have the time for it. Gary dropped off. I don't know if he's fact checking me or not. Oh, there he is. There he is. There you go. He went and Googled. Gary, did you Google?
I Googled.
Okay, cool.
5-minute rounds, is that right?
Yes, for women's and men's championship fights.
And the men do 6, right?
I never said.
I'm joking.
Said that you were lying. I said I have no idea.
I understand that, Gary, but to insinuate in any way that I could be wrong in that does a disservice to the argument that we're having and the discussion we're having, Gary.
I did. I said I'll take you at your word. I have no idea if that's true or not. I used to like flirt with this girl who's a hockey fan. I knew nothing about hockey. When I was in college, there was this guy that would set me up and be like, tell Dina, I went to school in New York, right? Tell Dina that the Islanders are playing Oakland. And I would go say that, and then she'd look at me like I was stupid because there is no Oakland in hockey, right? So what I'm saying is you could have said anything, and I would have believed you. That's all.
Cool.
Not that you were lying.
But now you
could've.
Googled. You Googled. You thought I could have lied there. I don't know why I would have. But cool.
I said
Next
I have
point.
No reason to lie.
Next
I'll believe
point.
You.
Next point. Why you think women should be hamstrung? I like to hear that.
Well, I don't know why it's hamstrung. So when you watch a women's fight, right, and it's 2-minute rounds, you don't think the fight is generally entertaining?
Yes. But then again, but that's not the question or debate we're having here, Gary. You're saying that 2-minute rounds are better than 3-minute rounds. Why? How can you say that? Have you seen women fight 3-minute rounds? No, I've seen women fight. Hold on, Gary. I've seen women fight 5-minute rounds. Why? Because they do that in MMA. Guess what? Women's MMA is completely on a hot streak right now, even post Ronda Rousey.
Shields would have stopped Hammer if it was 3 minutes rounds.
We would have had a KO, and you're absolutely right, Rob. We would have had a KO or TKO in the main event on Showtime.
Katie Taylor would have a whole bunch more KOs.
What?
I watched the fight, and you might.
Gary, come on. Come on here. If you think there's another minute in the 8th, 9th, and 10th round, or let alone there's another minute in every other round, there's 2 more rounds on top of it, there is a total of 16 more minutes of action. You are almost increasing the fight by 100%. You don't think that she gets a finish? Really? You want to die on that hill, Gary?
What I'm saying is now that the fight, like when you're fighting 6-rounders and when you're fighting 12-rounders, how you go into that fight is different, right? Like in a 6-rounder, you can't start slow. You have to start from the beginning, and you have to pace yourself more over a 12-round fight.
Gary,
she very well could have put a knockout. I'm not saying she could. Yeah.
Gary, how many finishes does Deontay Wilder have past the 20-minute mark? Quite a bit.
20, so past 7 rounds? Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah.
Quite a bit, right? So imagine like the Spilka fight, Luis Ortiz fight, Duhaupas fight, all those fights, Eric Molina fight, all those fights don't go to decision in the 7th round. You only get 20 minutes of action. You think that's awesome? You think that's beneficial to the product? You think that's better for the consumer? Really?
We wouldn't have seen him knock out Tyson Fury.
Yeah, that's true.
That is facts, Rob. That is facts.
Yeah.
Like, do you understand how many great moments in boxing would we not have if men's fights were 20 minutes in title fights? Think about that.
No, I'm saying they should definitely go 12, right? They should absolutely go 12 rounds on title fights.
But 12 is only 4 more minutes, Gary. It's still only 4 more minutes of action, so it's 24 minutes. Great. The men still fight for 14 whole more minutes than the women. That's a lot of time, Gary.
And you're saying there'd be, I mean, okay, there would be more knockouts. I mean,
absolutely.
There's no way to measure this because we don't have a dependent variable, right? We don't have anything to measure it against. But I mean, it's a reasonable argument, sure. But you would also get less toe-to-toe action.
Thank you.
And less trading in a 3-minute round than you would a 2-minute round.
You get
right?
You get what? You get what? You get what less in a 3-minute fight or a 3-minute round?
You get less toe-to-toe. You get less toe-to-toe action.
Why?
In a 3-minute, because they have to pace themselves out for 3 minutes.
Gary.
Instead of 2 minutes.
How many toe-to-toe rounds have Gary? So you think if, like, let's say, Castillo Corrales back in the day, if that was 2-minute rounds, they would have gone more toe-to-toe? Really?
Okay.
Really?
You're taking the exception and trying to make it the rule.
No, Gary. No. The rule for men is 36 minutes of action in 12 rounds. That's the rule. The women are the exception. I'm trying to make them equal. It's pretty apparent.
Yeah, but you're saying that you taking. I'm talking about the example that you use of Castillo and Corrales. That's one of the greatest fights you're ever going to see. No, that fight was. But if you were to take a Arasande Lara fight and make it 2-minute rounds, would he have to let his hands go more? Maybe. Yeah, probably. Right? Because you can't just sit there and try to flurry and win rounds on. Maybe.
Gary, go watch Laura in the Olympics and tell me if he threw more hands.
Okay. That's a fair point. But Laura never fought in the Olympics. She only fought in the Pan Am Games.
Sorry. The amateurs. My bad. Pedantic over here.
I hear what you're saying. No, I understand. I totally understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just think that women's boxing right now is entertaining, and I've never really up until
And
like
again,
the last 2 years.
Gary, making it 3-minute rounds and 12 rounds won't make it unentertaining. There's no evidence of that. Men's boxing is just as entertaining. There are plenty of women's title fights that are bad. There are plenty of men's title fights that are bad and boring. The amount of time has nothing to do with that in particular. What it does do is hamstring women and not allowing them to fight the same amount of time as men to show off what they can do. All the great 12 rounds, all the great last 30 seconds of a round that we've had in boxing history, women haven't had that. They've been hamstrung. And also, 92 in the chat. You can look this up. Shields, Hardy, all women are on record saying that they want 3-minute rounds. The WBC, they came out and had to make a statement because of that the outcry for 3-minute rounds from their champions, and said, no, we're going to keep it 2-minute rounds. And Shields, Hardy, Taylor, Michaela Mayer, all the prominent women didn't like that. All of them didn't like that. The Serrano sisters, none of them were appreciative of that. So to go and say, oh, ask the women, they want 3-minute rounds. What are you talking about? It's men like you, Gary, and Mauricio Suleiman saying, no, honey, sorry, you get the 2-minute rounds and the pink belts.
Okay, I'm just saying that the sport now is finally, after 20 years, like Christy Martin was probably 20 years ago, finally gaining popularity, and now you want to change the rule. I just don't know if that's like the best thing to do, right? Like, you had Christy Martin, and then you had like 20 years of silence. And now the sport's finally starting to get popular again, and now you want to change the rules and say to make it fair. But why do you want to change the rules when it's finally doing well? Well, like, I feel like
Again, Gary, you have not accurately or logically said why this rule change would be so detrimental to women's boxing. Not at all.
I kind of did, but you didn't like that. I said there would be less toe-to-toe action, right? It would be a
And Gary, we clearly have men's boxing that has toe-to-toe action with 3-minute rounds and 36 minutes of action. So just because women get the same amount of time as men doesn't mean women will be more boring than men. That is literally your argument. That if we have women have the same amount of time, same amount of opportunity as men, they're going to be more boring. It'll be less action. So we have to hamstring the rules for women to make them more entertaining. That's literally your argument.
Again, you keep saying hamstring the no. Like the rules.
Gary, it's boxing. Gary, it's boxing. If you tell a champion in boxing you're going to fight half the amount of time, yes, that is hamstringing them. What are you talking about? You think women train for 2-minute rounds? You think when women go in the gym and spar the guys, they're sparring 2-minute rounds? No, they're not, Gary. Go to a fucking gym. Go to a gym, Gary. You obviously have never seen women in the gym train.
I just said you're right. I just said you're right. The women train with the men, and everything is on a 3-minute clock. You're right about that. I train with women. You're right. Women train for. You're right about that. That's a really good point. Right? They are. I would say that they would have to change everything, but they actually have to change everything to go fight in 2-minute rounds. You're right. That's a good point. That's something to see. Now you can tell them that they train for 3-minute rounds just like the men do, because typically women and men boxers train together. There aren't usually enough women to have their own gym. So they train with the men for 3-minute rounds. You are absolutely right about that. That is a really good point. Okay. Yeah. Now, since you said that, I can
also
kind of see,
quick little fun fact. Quick little fun fact. Santiago in the chat saying Marlon Esparza requested to have one of her fights go for 3 minutes. It was approved, and thus far is the only fight that was 3 minutes each round. Santiago, let me know what sanctioning body that was. I'm curious. But if all the women are wanting it, and it's just a bunch of middle-aged guys telling them no, come on, Gary. Like, you're smart. You're an intelligent guy. I think you're pretty objective. I think you can see what's up. You know what this is. Like, women in other combat sports are treated 100% equal. And we see how that pays off. You think if Ronda Rousey was treated like a lesser product, she would have blown up the way she did, or women's MMA would have blown up the way it did? No. But it was treated equal.
Well, Ronda Rousey was also supposed to be like a sex symbol, which I never saw.
90 seconds.
I don't see an attractive woman in there, but whatever. But that was part of her appeal, was it not?
True.
I mean, she wasn't even that good of a fighter.
Yeah, no, whoa, Gary. Yes, she was.
Am I wrong? I could be wrong. I remember her losing. It's like a 3-year-old woman. Is that not right?
Gary, we're going to move on. And, again, that's one of the things that just Google, man. Google Ronda Rousey's resume. Like, just Google it. It's very simple.
Okay.
60 seconds.
And another tidbit, she was on Showtime before she was with the UFC, because obviously she was with Strikeforce. And go look at her viewership numbers on Showtime. It's also pretty comparable to Shields. But anyways, Gary, have a great day. We're going to head out of here because obviously Blog Talk is telling us that we have to leave. Rob, final thoughts time. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted from talking about misogyny and racism.
Stop.
So annoying.
Yeah, Triple G, Steve Rolls.
They see me rolling, they hating.
Thank you, Rob.
Just I'll pick you back up a little bit, Matt. Pick you up, get your mood back up.
That did help. It did. Thank you.
I've seen a lot of comparisons. Comparing this
10
to
seconds.
Charlo and Brandon Adams. But, we can't always get the fights we want, I suppose. But, yeah, this one's poor. What else did we talk about? I can't remember. But, yeah, usual stuff. UK Rob, MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Give me a follow. Send me links or anything. And if you want specific sound bites putting into an MCR intro, I like to mix it up a little bit. We had a new one on today. But I just threw some sound bites on there quickly over the top of the. Someone said, "Who made this new intro?" Dr. Dre. But
but hey, that's PD, man. He's on drugs. He thinks he thinks everything's good.
I just think it's great that PD made it through the show.
Hey.
Obviously, he wasn't ready to call in today, but that's all good. That's all good. But yeah, any sound bites people might want to hear in an intro, sort of keep them relevant, a bit more current rather than the old school, sort of famous clips. Let's get some modern ones and have a fire intro going on. So send me any ideas for that. But yeah, share the show, hit that thumbs up, tag at Team YouTube and find out why we haven't been monetized yet. Hashtag monetize MCR. Let's get this approval sorted out. But yeah, thanks everybody in the chat for being here. It's hard when Foo's not here because Foo properly keeps an eye on that chat, and it's a little bit more conversation and we can keep an eye on it better. But as you and Gary were arguing, I found articles Shields wanting 3-minute rounds, Katie Taylor wanting 3 minutes rounds. If the women want it, let them have it. I'm happy to see it. I'm pretty sure Katie Taylor wouldn't change her style too much with an extra minute in every round. When we would see her get some other fight, get them out of there in under. It won't need the 12 rounds.
And again, I feel like framing it just only a minute extra round, people don't understand how significant that is. You're literally adding a whole nother fight to it.
I've seen many of a Katie Taylor opponents walking back to the corner thinking, "Thank fuck that bell went," because she was putting some hands on me big time. Katie Taylor's fast hands and combinations. You don't want to take much more of that in a round for, what I mean? So yeah, and same with Shields. I think given the time, Hammer would have definitely been out of there in that fight.
Absolutely. But anyways, I'm Matt the Hipster Hunter. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Have a great day, great night, wherever you're listening. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. listen on podcast form, drop that 5-star review on iTunes, write that review out, and obviously head over to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. $1 a month gets you extra shows per week and helps support the channel financially. And it's actually the only source of income for the channel. So go do that, support the channel. Peace.
You piece of shit! I'm gonna fucking kill you! I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you!
What you gonna do, brother?
That's stupid! Use your common sense.
Stay off the weed!
Guess who's back? Back again.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?